approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Always an exciting time here as the transformation of the Laporte Police Department continues to take effect. Chief Breton swearing in. Corbin Alexander.
You gotta come up here. Before I start, I want to explain to the board how I got to know Corbin. Back when he was 15 years old, this is so his mom cries. Back when he was 15 years old, I met this kid working at the Silver Palace. And I had a son about the same age. Being your typical teenage kid, he was full of his stories. And I listened to his stories. Then he started talking about the police department. And woefully, I answered all his questions. I thought, I don't want to talk about this, but he kept on and kept on and kept on. We talked about his family, which was important to him. He ran track and field for Laporte High School, and this stupid diesel truck that he talked about all the time. I got to know him so well, he used to text me at night working midnights. He'd see some crime of the century occurring and call me, you gotta go after this guy. And Jim Abby might wake me from a deep sleep, but I never told him that. This is a kid that wanted to be a police officer. When he went to work to jail, I talked to him, I said, you're 21, you need to apply. And what he said to me has stuck with me, and I've told people this several times. He said, I'm not mature enough. I'm gonna go work to jail, work on my maturity. Well, that was the most mature thing I've ever heard a 21-year-old kid ever say to me. So I could never imagine that someday I'd be swearing this kid in, and today it happens. So, I need you to raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, John Corbin Alexander,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the laws and Constitution
the laws and Constitution
of the state of Indiana,
of the state of Indiana.
and I will, to the best of my ability,
I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully execute
faithfully execute
the position of police officer
the position of police officer
for the city of Laporte,
for the city of Laporte.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Corbin, I'm sorry, but yeah, congratulations and time for speech. And please make sure, it looks like you've got great support here, so make sure you introduce your family and everybody else that's here to support you.
Speech. As you guys can tell, I have a lot of support here today. I am big on my hometown. There's been a lot of people in my life that have pushed me to want to be a cop. Chief Brennan also being one of them. Like you said, 15, I would sit there and talk to him at Silver Palace. He's sitting there working security. We would talk, did ride-alongs. I've also had state troopers that I go to church with. They motivated me in my life. But my place is here in this town. I want to be the change in Laporte, in this town. Being young, I figured I could do that. So I appreciate this opportunity and everyone being here to support me today.
We're gonna take family photo here in front, so we'll get out. If you could introduce your family and whoever you'd like to have, this is photo op time, so
Oh, boy.
enjoy it.
This is gonna be a long list. So I got my dad that's standing up there in the gray. That's my dad John. My mom down here, she's on her phone. That's my mom Jenny. My little brother, that's Carter. The next to him is my grandma. That's Marcia. The next to her is my papa Mike. Behind them is my cousin Olivia, older brother. That's older brother to Olivia. That's my cousin Cameron. Their mom, my aunt Camille. My cross-country coaches for middle school, right next to them. My Uncle Todd right next to my dad. My Aunt Debbie next to my Uncle Todd. My Uncle Matt and Aunt Ashley next to my Aunt Debbie. Then we're gonna come back up front. One of my favorite bosses, Mark, Mama T. Next to her is Miss Seifert. All right, now let's go to the back. You got Robbie in the back. Another one of my bosses, Scott Harris. And you got Julie West next to Scott Harris. And then you got Mr. Gasway, who his son and I have been brothers from Avant in cross country. He's been there to support me from day one. You got another one of my bosses over here, Frank K. Esley. Love that man. And he's my landlord. That is the same trooper I was talking about that's been there supported from day one. It's Trooper Tim McCormick. He is also here today. Did not know he was going to make it. Awesome surprise. Then my trooper mom, right next to Mr. McCormick. And that's Cassie Litchman. Then you got my Aunt Allison and my Uncle Jack right here. I miss anybody.
I think I might be a third cousin.
But I believe that is, I covered all the bases, I think.
Mom, now's your chance to get any photos you want before the meeting, so.
Thank you.
Chief, come on over. We get the same family photo.
Yeah, you all got it, all try to get in there.
Take your phone if you want. That'd be great.
You can see it as well.
You learned that being around now. Extra step.
So impressive. A big one and then we'll.
Over here. Watch your step.
I'm gonna get back in the corner and make sure I'm not in the picture.
Photoshop.
You want one this mom and dad?
Push the button.
I'm right behind you. I don't want to scare you. Okay. If you hear me breathing, that's what's going on.
The best news of the day, anybody that's here to support Corbin, don't feel pressure to stay for the rest of the meeting.
That is so cool, isn't it? It's really cool.
What an impressive guy.
And his mile, how fast is his mile?
I don't know, damn.
Yeah. He runs the turkey trot with like no, he wears shorts. So
Those Captain America shorts, that's what I call them.
Oh, that's funny. That'll be fun to see when I focus it. Thanksgiving.
You know, he usually wins that. It's Dakota Merkel. You know Dakota? He went to Bethany. They live on Indiana Ave. He runs cross country at IUPUI, or did. He might be graduated by now.
Did you hear yesterday?
Yeah.
Or his family.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
story. It's incredible.
That's so impressive.
Just irritating.
That kind of with that kind of support, I think he could run for mayor and be a landslide.
I haven't
Mayors in all the years I've been down there.
be a police officer. My friends,
Yeah.
150 can't run. They're everywhere now.
Okay, we will now move to public comment. I do have two cards from Mr. David Airy and Miss Carrie Garwood. I know this is regarding the Chris Kindle mark with Bethany Church, and so this will fall under unfinished business, and if it's okay with each of you, we will hold that till we discuss the event coming up on item number 8. Any other public comment via social media?
Actually, we had 3 nice comments about Corbin from Chris Clenard. Congratulations, Corbin. Impressive story. You definitely seem like you've got a great head on your shoulders. And then Edie Alexander, Gramps and I are so proud of you. Love you. And Stephanie Crothers, we are at home quarantine cheering for you, Corbin. Congrats. So many hugs coming your way.
Oh, very nice.
Impressive kid.
Clerk Treasurer, claims approval for Treasurer Parthoon.
Okay, we've got payroll from November 12th, 2021 in the amount of $411,221.74.
I move we approve the payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
We have employee bonus payroll in the amount of $92,804.90.
Move we approve the bonus payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
And that was for the 2021 salary ordinance, I just wanted to point out. Fire fitness payroll from 11/5/2021 for $13,848.12. I believe that was 39.
Correct, yes, 39.
I move we approve the fire fitness payroll.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Finally, for payroll, we have special police fitness pay for an officer that was left off of the police officers' fitness bonus payroll from last Board of Works meeting, and that is in the amount of $355.08.
I move we approve the special police fitness pay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
We have sewage claims in the amount of $388,941.41.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
We have water claims in the amount of $251,027.31, which includes some bond issuance costs as we close the refunding waterworks bond on November 4th, with a net savings of approximately $125,000, or getting a lower interest rate.
Nice.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? I'd just like to say Clerk Treasurer Parthoon coming up with that $125,000 in savings into her department, and say thank you, because that was big for the taxpayers. So all those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
And then civil city claims in the amount of $659,389.18.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
That's all the claims we have.
Thank you, Clerk Treasurer Parthoon.
That's it.
That's it.
Before we go to department heads, I would like the opportunity, since members from the community are here, do I need a vote to move unfinished business up to next?
No, you could take that now.
So if it's okay with the board, I will go ahead and move to unfinished business, the request for use Crystal Kin Market Bethany Bethany Church for the closure of the street. And there were concerns previously at the last meeting about the closure of this. I had stated, you know, from the city's perspective, there's not interest from the city's perspective to permanently close, I think it's G Street. But I felt comfortable enough for this event to allow it to take place with that closure. We've asked all parties to come back today, so the entire membership here of the board could hear. So with that, Mr. David Airy, and if you could come and state your name, address, reminder, 3 minutes maximum, no personal or derogatory comments, and if anybody else in the public has not signed one, would like to speak, please raise your hand after. So, Mr. Airy, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Dermody. Ms. Romaine, Mr. Kozier. I stand here as a neighbor to Bethany Lutheran for some 41 years. Great neighbor, wonderful neighborhood, and for, in fact, my other neighbors that have concerns. First of all, on point, the application that has been standing since 2008, 2009, does the Board of Public Works have a copy of this? Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay. If I may, I will read the bottom section of it. This is the application that was turned in by Bethany Church. If the event is being held in a residential neighborhood, which we all agree it is, please attach written permission from residents who might be affected by the event. On point, since that time, over the past, very specifically, 5 years, there tends to have been an overreach by this organization. The place of the event was promoted and funded as a handicapped splash pad, somewhat redundant to what the city already has, but I don't care, it doesn't matter. Since that point, it's been used for numerous times, numerous events, some religious, some non-religious. The closure of that street was addressed some 2 years ago at Traffic Commission. Carol Machek, A.C. Pressler, Captain Billy Denegard were at those meetings. It was decided at that point there would not be, as you stated, a permanent closure of that street. But there was a real concern, and if you want to refer back to those notes, it was about the integrity of that traffic grid. We're one of the parts of town that have a, how would you say, Mr. Snyder, a pure grid to get to police, fire, and ambulance. I would strongly recommend 2 things. Number one, to limit the closure of that to the very minimum. The original request was Friday through Sunday, post-Thanksgiving. And I can stand corrected, but now I understand they want it closed between Wednesday, Wednesday, Thanksgiving, and then the entire weekend for 5 days. So I think a reasonable person would say, why not 6 days? Why not 7 days? Why not the whole week? There has been a continual overreach, and I think it needs to stop. And it's unfortunate, and I'll refer back again to the bottom of this. If neighbors, a reasonable person, each one of you in your own neighborhoods, that the neighbor comes to you and says, Mr. Dermody, I'd like to shut the street in front of your house for a particular event or whatever. And then we have a conversation before we have to come and take up time at Board of Public Works. This, had it been adhered to, I think could have been resolved from day one, but it's not been that way. So I stand here today as a longtime resident, 41 years at that address, and we've had to collect signatures and do all sorts of things to stop this overreach. I would simply ask a respect for the neighbors, the community, and on point. And I would defer again to Mr. Snyder, Mr. Britton. You're more likely to have emergency calls during holidays than you are at any other time. And so closure of this street for any more than possible, I think it's unsafe and unwarranted. With that,
Are there questions? Mr. Airy, so if a representative from Bethany came to you, would you have been supportive of a closure for this event?
a limited closure, because that history has been, there have been no accidents. They had a similar event a year ago, and to my recollection, there was no closure. It was unneeded. And I'll say it again, an overreach, but a conversation with that, absolutely. I've been more than happy to discuss that and come up to a reasonable solution to that. Absolutely, yes.
So you're not opposed to the weekend closure?
I'm opposed to any excessive closure of that street. For instance, I don't even know that it wasn't stated here on the hours, but the limited hours, but those barricades better come down at night, again, for what we've just stated, for police, fire, and ambulance. They don't need to be closed. In fact, there's a fence around there with somewhat, maybe hard, or it doesn't matter. Whatever's there is there, but the closure of the street, totally unnecessary. And I'll say it again because it's important. It is an overreach and unreasonable. And I look at it as a reasonable person, in each one of you in your neighborhoods, how you would address the exact same thing.
Questions, further questions from the board?
It sounds like, Mr. Airy, I appreciate you being here, but it sounds like you're okay with it being closed for the hours that the event is taking place. Is that true?
Yes, I think a reasonable person would say that. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Having lived there, I see what goes on. That splash pad was supposed to be a precipitator of shutting it down. I think there was no problem with that. But from, say, a May through August use of a splash pad, and then to be used as a continual for birthday parties, for gatherings, and so forth, now I see a camel's nose in the tent. Now I do. I see a camel's nose in the tent of overreach, and it's time to stop. And again, this is probably the best way to handle it, is for them face-to-face or by email or whatever, to visit and work with your neighborhood. And that's been sorely lacking over this past 4 or 5 years. And it's sad, because they are a great organization. They're a wonderful church. That's not the point. The point is what I've stated.
Further questions? Thank you, Mr. Airy.
Thank you, Mr. Derby.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Next, I will call other public meeting, Carrie Garwood. And again, if you state your name, address, and make your statement. If the board has questions, we'll interact.
Hi,
Welcome,
Carrie
Carrie.
Garwood from Bethany Church. First of all, in this public forum, I have to wish my brother Chris Miller, a city employee, happy birthday today. So, happy birthday.
Chris.
Sorry, that's a personal comment. My only thing is, so I think Mr. Airy is a little off on the 4 or 5 years, because we took over that playground, it was the former Park School, I think in '06. So we've been closing that street for events, just event-only closures since then. We had Easter egg hunts, you know, back in '06, I'm certain of it, along with other events. So that temporary street closure has been happening for numerous years. Last year, to be quite honest, we didn't do it because it was COVID, and I didn't want to get another approval for something else during COVID, so we did not close the street. Also, it was limited to 100 people per hour. So we had very few cars there. Again, following with those guidelines for COVID, we didn't really need to do it. But we've closed it for other things. We didn't close it for Halloween night this year, probably a mistake. It was busy and it was getting dark, and a lot of cars park in front. Even though the city made it no parking, they painted it yellow. People don't care, and they just park there. And you know, you can have an officer there. We do. We hire officers for the Christkindl Market to be there, but they can't be helping with crowd control and, watching what people are doing and keeping a safety aspect if they're standing outside directing traffic. So it really is a temporary closure. I don't know where the rumor has started that the Aries have heard that it's from pre-Thanksgiving until Sunday. It's not. It's just for the days of the market. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we would be okay with taking the barricades down at night. I don't see an issue with that. The only thing is, I don't know from a safety standpoint, if you guys think you need to get through there. There are no other, the Aries house is the only one that's also on that lot facing it, but their driveway faces Second Street, so it's not an access concern. But I don't know for safety vehicles, if you need to get through at night, we can certainly do that. I just thought it keeps cars from pulling up at night and parking there too, and then I gotta find whose car it is and get it towed in the morning or something like that. So, just keeping up seems easier to me for Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, they would be down by 5 o'clock.
Questions for Ms. Garwood? So it would be Friday through Sunday.
Yeah, the actual event hours are 11 to 7 Friday and Saturday, and 11 to 5 on Sunday.
Chief,
Or questions for Ms. Garwood?
Well, just kind of thinking with regards to, so it's just those days during those hours, and kind of with that parking, I get where you're saying where, you move the barricades and then people just park potentially.
Well, and even the vendors, these vendors come and they want to unload their stuff, and the next thing I know, I got their trailer out there parked in the street, and they don't want to move it because it was easier to load over the fence, and it just discourages them from staying. Honestly, they're going to be, I think at some point, someone mentioned we could close the street just up to Aries' house, which is fine, but people are going to be parking in front of their house all day too, so, that's fine, though. We can put the barricades right at the end of the Bethany lot, so people can't, they're just not crossing right into the park entrance and dodging in between vehicles that are parked there and they can't see, especially with kids. They tend to get excited. They see something across the street they're excited about. We had live reindeer last year, so if they see the reindeer and they get excited, they want to see, they're running across the street, and there's cars parked there, you can't see in between the vehicles.
Questions for,
The reason I brought that up is I was just thinking, with the barricading, and certainly understand the concern of when the event's not happening, to kind of keep traffic flow open, for any emergency access. Just thinking with the barricades, in that no parking space, because I'm thinking it's just the one, I don't have the application in front of me, but it's the one block there, right?
Correct.
That's what we're talking, okay.
Yeah.
As a possible solution with these barricades, we can move them in front, and I don't know how many there are exactly, but I'm guesstimating that they could be placed sort of where cars might park, kind of to deter, certainly could move a barricade, but that would kind of deter the parking to kind of be able to then block it off during hours, or, shortly, if it runs from 11 to 7, I think when we close down the Listitch, we close it a little bit in advance to allow time for setup and all that kind of thing.
we
But
also have signage available that can be put on trees or signs to let people know, which we do at Listitch. Other questions before we have open discussion for Carrie Garwood?
do you think this is something that in the future, you and the neighbor Mr. Area can figure out,
Honestly,
going
like I said, since we've
forward?
been doing it since 2006, and Chris Area used to work with us, I thought they knew we'd closed the street before for a lot of years. So I wouldn't have thought to go take them that application.
Okay, but now in the future, maybe you guys can work that out and resolve
Yeah.
those issues and come to some common compromise that's a win-win situation, right? So that everybody's protected and safe, and then
Right.
the Aries also feel like their concerns are being addressed.
Sure.
So, do you guys feel that that's appropriate with the barricades and stuff? Does that mean that fire or police have to move the barricades every night, or
No, that would be
Bethany
members,
would just do it?
Right.
Okay.
Further questions for Ms. Garwood?
I just, because your application didn't really say, so just so we're clear, you have no intentions of any vendors or equipment in that street?
No. No, during the event,
So
there'll
the
probably be
purpose-
some stuff in the
The
grassy
purpose of
areas
closing
outside.
that street is, one, the parking?
Yes.
And two, for safety of people going back and forth
In and
from
out,
cars.
correct.
So it would be advisable to close it just during the hours of the event then?
Right. Yeah,
The
we can do
parking
that.
has been stated already. I mean, we do it on a lot of other occasions in town where those no parking signs are put up.
Right.
And if the board
Those
approves
would be
that.
helpful, the no
that-
parking signs overnight, to get those up for us.
Yeah.
Do we put those up then, or do we print and put those up, or how
We
does
put
that
'em
work?
up.
The police department
Street or
does?
parks?
Okay.
We'll probably
Okay.
have to have the street, because I don't think there's a lot of signs there. We
To keep
could,
it from overnight.
we'd have to
getting
get some
people-
sticks to put them on.
But we can put signage on trees to make sure everybody knows the time frame.
Yeah,
As long
we
as you
write
I
in
don't
there.
think there's a lot
Yeah.
of trees right there, but
There's not.
some
The
kind
trees
of, is there some kind of stake or something you could put in?
I would
Okay.
suggest the board make the no parking effective during the time frame that they've originally asked from that Friday.
From the entire,
through-
for the entire time,
Well, and the
not,
street
Then it
department
gives
has
it
made
the
it no parking in front of the playground.
right, but you're saying people don't. But maybe if there's more signs
Right.
posted, it will be,
That will give the police authority to move those cars if they
Yeah.
need to also.
or you
if the board
can make a
approves it.
little bit of money finding them, right?
Well, if it's no parking, we have the authority to move them anyway, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
If
I
the
mean, I think a
signs are up.
permanent sign could go up because it is no parking. It's clearly.
And I like the idea of opening it at the end of the night, because working midnights all those years, you forget.
Right.
Their midnight shift seems to be the last ones to know everything.
Sure.
And if there is an emergency and it's further down G Street and they get there, the words used aren't too nice when they come up to a barricade and then they have to go around.
I would just
And I
say
could see a
probably-
problem with that.
Based on the hours of event, probably wouldn't be 7 o'clock because you're gonna have people still filtering in and out of there. So once we know the crowd is out, the last people out would move those barricades so that they're just off to the side in the grass.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, so let's open it up now to this board here. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this, by the way, that has not yet? So if we look for a reasonable solution here, you're suggesting from a public safety perspective, close to parking from Friday. What is your recommendation?
Till the
I guess I'll
event,
look for fire and
yeah,
police.
till the event ends,
For the parking
for
situation.
the parking, yes.
First for parking, so you would begin closing, no parking from Friday at,
Well, you set the time, and we
Yeah.
put the signs up, whatever's good for when you would want it closed.
The vendors get there at 7 a.m. to set up.
So we could
Friday
do
at
it.
7 till
we-
7 on Sunday.
And we could put the signs up Thursday.
So
Friday.
7 AM Friday to 7 PM Sunday,
Right.
is that right?
does that work for public
Yes.
safety? And then at the end of each evening. at
Friday
the
and
event,
Saturday.
The street will open up.
Yes.
And what I'd want to do, Carrie, is I'd leave you some signs, because if it rains, snow, those things come down.
5, it ends at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ends at 5 on Sunday, right?
to
So
7.
parking would be Friday at 7 AM, no parking would be Friday at 7 AM till Sunday at 7 PM. And then street closure would be from,
Whenever they want to
Yeah, the
close.
hours, they have 11 to 7 on Friday and Saturday, and 11 to 5 on
but
Sunday.
you're gonna want some.
Give them a little bit of leeway to each side of it, yes.
So 8 AM till,
8 to 8 and,
Well, Give them some time afterward.
8 to 8.
8 to 6 on Sunday.
And then Sunday, 8 to,
And is that, so, that one block section, that's currently no parking on both sides for that?
I believe it's-
There is some parking on the south side of that. And I'd refer to Mike, he might be going from memory, but there is a lot of yellow stripage there.
Okay.
But there is some residential parking available on the south side of that block.
so again, what we're suggesting is no parking from Friday at 7 AM till Sunday at 7 PM. And the street will be closed 8 AM till 8 PM Friday, Saturday, and 8 AM till 6 PM on Sunday. Does that make sense from a public safety perspective?
Yes.
Does that work, Carrie, for the event? Mr. Airy, is that reasonable?
Absolutely. I think the only thing you need to address is things in the future, as in what we just said right here.
think we did. I asked Mrs. Garwood if she would be open to having discussions with you for future events, and I think that she acknowledged that that will happen. So you guys can work those things
You guys
through
will chat
and,
next year.
yeah.
Or whatever, and other neighbors as well.
And we look forward to Chris Kendall Martin, appreciate Bethany's work for the community, so appreciate that. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? I think we've covered everything. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Sheets, I don't.
Courtney, you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Thank you all regarding that item. Let's now move to department heads. We'll begin with Tim Werner, Water Department.
Good morning, Board. The crews, 2 weeks ago, or the end of 2 weeks ago, finished our fall flushing for the season. Minimal complaints. I want to thank the communications director and the mayor for, I think a lot of this is just getting this information out to the public. They're not so surprised by if they do have, discolored water in the morning or whatever. That has really reduced our calls coming into the water department. We only had 2 calls. I'm not saying that there wasn't other people with discolored water, but I think getting the information out there, people are a lot more aware of what's going on with the water department and why that water is discolored if they do happen to have that in the morning. So I do thank everybody for that. I think it's important to communicate that with the residents. The maintenance crew is finishing up this week with the Ohio Main extension, Ohio Street Main extension, where there's a dead end down Ohio Street. Mitch Ficus Builders have brought Whispered Metals to Ohio Street now, so we did a 500-foot tie-in main project. We did that in-house for around $22,000. That was materials only. All the labor costs were absorbed in the water department. So that's going to make a big difference in that area for fire flow. It's real close to our east side water tower. There's large mains that go down Boyd Boulevard, so it just allows water to flow in that area a lot better. So we'll be finishing up this week with back tees testing and pressure testing. They're only about 2 sticks away from finishing up, so the main should be tied in today. Then we'll have 2 consecutive days of back tees testing and pressure testing, and then that project will be completed. Other than that, facility staff is just tightening things up for the winter. Cold's not good to water inside buildings when they're not heated, and just making sure hatches are secured, vents are secured for the winter. Heaters are working in different well houses and outlying buildings that we have. We're just heading in the main break season, so we're getting ready for that. Crews are not excited, but they know it's coming. So that's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
And our Monroe Manor project's finishing up the first phase, this year's phase. They've got the pavement, the base asphalt down. Still installing some sidewalks that may or may not get complete, the sidewalks this year. All the driveway approaches and everything are all complete. Because it's only base asphalt, there's a lip on where the gutter's at. On the finished asphalt, we'll bring it up flush with the gutter. So there's always some puddles because the water can't get up over that little lip. So if you hear complaints, that's what's going on. And when they put the finished asphalt down in the spring, that'll end that issue. We hauled our solids to our farm Head Creek last week. That's a little later than normal. Nice to have that done before the weather got cold. So that's all you can dispose of the solids in the spring and the fall, and so it's always kind of a nail biter this year with all the rain. It put us back, but we got her done. So.
Nick Minnick, Engineering.
A couple things today. Just wanted to report that we did receive our Community Crossings grant, not in the full amount, but pretty close. So our grant amount was $946,912.27. I don't know what that means because we applied for $1 million, so I'm not sure exactly which projects aren't included in there. We'll find that out in the near future here. But that equates to about a $2 million paving project that we'll put out for bid and have start in the spring.
And a reminder, how much can we get for a quarter mile? How much does it cost to do a quarter mile of paving right now?
We're doing, this is about 6 miles of paving is what it ends up being. So $2 million
For
is
$2
getting
million.
us about 6 miles.
So I know people think we get $2 million and we're gonna pave the city.
No,
It's very limited.
6 miles out of 113 miles of pavement. So in the past, when we were doing more preservation, which was the 1.5 inches of surface or less, we were able to get about 13 miles. We could get about 10% of the city if we're just maintaining. So our goal is get to a place where we can just maintain, and then we have enough funds to rebuild periodically. And we're getting closer and closer to that goal using our asset management program. But we're not there yet.
What's the break point between like going that, 1.5 inches versus full depth?
So it's a pacer rating that kind of pushes us to that break point, usually somewhere about a 4. We're gonna start doing more depth on the asphalt. And then that's all based on the road. So some roads are going to need 4 inches with subgrade, some roads only need 4 inches of asphalt. It really depends on the road. Everything has to be taken on a case-by-case basis.
Would we have gotten 2 years ago more miles for the same amount of money? I mean, are the material costs way up, just like, in construction
but
period?
2 years ago, we were still in a maintenance focus, I would say, and then we still are, but we were focused on getting our good roads to stay in good condition, which that meant everything with that pacer rating of over 4, so getting another 1.5 inches of new surface on those roads. And now that we've done a lot of that, we're doing about twice the work on every single road that we're touching. So we're moving away from that 1.5 inches. We'll still have a small amount of that, but most of it's full depth pavement replacement. So that's why we're doing about half as much in mileage.
Okay.
And so with that full depth replacement then, what's your life expectancy of that without having to then go back and start doing, 1.5 inches?
Yeah, so maintenance becomes key to that still, but our maintenance costs are extremely low on something like that. So we can come back and crack seal in 1 to 2 to 3 years, whatever it may be, and then we should do a seal coat, sometime in the middle. And essentially what we can do is we can stretch that pavement life out. So we can get anywhere from the 1.5 inches we were getting hopefully somewhere between 7 to 10 years, and the full depth, we'd like to get closer to that 10 to 15 years of life out of a full depth pavement. So, and we'd like to get that amount of time. Some of the roads that we're paving that have kind of been pushed towards the end here where we need to do more than just the surface, some of those roads haven't seen pavement in 30, 40 years. I mean, a lot of these roads have been neglected a long time, and if we can avoid that kind of neglect, if we can keep on top of things, we're going to be able to maintain our streets for far less than we are right now.
And this also includes our portion comes from the wheel tax.
Yes, I think that's also important for people to remember. When you pay your wheel tax goes 100% into these projects. It's not used for anything else. It really can't be used for anything else. The other funds that supplement that, we don't even receive enough wheel tax. I think people feel like it's a lot of wheel tax when they pay it, but we don't receive enough wheel tax to match our maximum amount coming from the state through community crossings. So we're maybe in a good year getting 700-ish.
And that's a stretch, I think.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, we have to, and that includes the trash impact fee. So wheel tax and trash impact fee, those are our user fees that help with paving. In addition to that, we have to use MVH, which traditionally has been a funding source that was, kind of wholly used to basically make a street department function. They only have 2 funding sources, and those mostly come from wheel tax and state user fees. But we fill in that gap with that MVH. They call it restricted fund because it can only be used for paving and a series of other things. So.
Okay, thank you.
But again, road-wise, we've got about $30 million worth of work to be done in the city of Laporte. We received close to $2 million. we have about $20 million worth of sidewalks to be done, and we are able to generate $50,000 to $100,000 in sidewalks for $20 million. So we recognize the issue. We are working on different ways to address it, but again, it's a challenge.
Yeah,
It's a big
every
challenge
year
in
we
front of us.
chip away at it, but we never get to that. Every year that we spend 2 million or 3 million or whatever it may be, we're not, that doesn't mean we're reducing that $30 million gap in our infrastructure by 3 million. That means we're just kind of chipping away at that maybe by $1 million or so. But we are getting there. It's taking time, but we are definitely on the right track to having a infrastructure that can be maintained at a reasonable cost, and we'll get there.
So it sounds like you're saying that with kind of the current program and what we sort of get every year, match every year, that we're catching up. I mean,
We
certainly
are.
not going to clear off all these needs, right? But
Yeah.
but are we gaining ground? That's the
Our-
question I guess I have.
When we started this program in 2016, we started with a PACER rating, which is a rating system, a 1 to 10 scale for surface condition of roads. And we started at a 4.6, and we're probably right over a 6 right now. And our goal is to maintain our roads at a 7. The goal would be that every paving cycle, we're over a 7, but by the end of the year, because of deterioration, you're probably a little bit under that 7, and we're looking system-wide. A 7's really a good number. That doesn't mean all of our streets are in that good condition, but again, we need to look at it as a whole system, and we need to look at it, very holistically and realize some roads are going to deteriorate a little bit in preparation for a full reconstruction. And that's going to allow us to maintain all the other roads too. So.
And the key is, and we welcome anybody from the public that wants to come in, and I'd love to sit with them to walk through the budget and say, where can we find more sidewalk and road funding? Also, it's a reminder, we discussed it last night. People always want to say government's just spending. In Laporte County, $28 million goes back to homeowners, residents, due to the property tax caps. So city of Laporte, we lose 25% of our revenue right off the top that goes back to residents, which are good for homeowners, and in my mind is good. But it's 28 million county-wide, including school system, local units of government. So that goes back to homeowners. We're asked to fulfill these needs with less money. And as we look at this in the future and we talk about public safety and what's happening in public safety, we need to look and do and review what other growing communities are doing and how they're able to fund public safety, roads, sidewalks, by being responsible with the tax dollars, but providing enough dollars to get done what the public wants us to do, because we get calls, I get calls every day about sidewalks, roads, people tripping, falling. Why aren't we cleaning the parks? Why don't we have more than 4 officers at a time in the police department out in covering the entire city? So which way do we want it? Where's the balance? And that's what we're trying to find. And we're excited to look at new ways to fund things, so. Legal, Nick Otis, anything?
Nope.
Mike Frey, streets?
We started picking up leaves yesterday. We started on the east end. We're putting up the Christmas tree tomorrow, and we'll be back on leaves.
And big shout out, thank you for the tree, and Laura Cutler, city councilwoman, has done an amazing job of taking ownership of the decorations downtown, and I think everybody's gonna be excited and pleased with what they see, so I owe her a big thanks because she's really taken ownership of that. Chief Breton?
Only thing I would like to say is we have an agility test on Saturday for new applicants. Yesterday, I got no fewer than 7 applications, so the word's out there. People are taking notice of the new salary for officers, and that's exciting to see. I believe we'll test anywhere from 14 to 20 on Saturday alone.
That's great.
Chief, how many of those applicants, when they come in, how many of those do you feel like end up, kind of historically, end up becoming a part of the police department?
I'd say we're lucky to put maybe 30% on a list.
Okay.
There's several. There's a written test after the agility. We give that the same day. And then we do interviews after that. And then comes lie detector test or CVSA. And then background checks. It's pretty lengthy. We did have a graduation also last Friday from NYLEA, Taylor Atkinson. Unfortunately, he contracted COVID while at the academy, so he is out now until he tests negative and he can come back. He's really bummed. He was so excited to get started. He never made it to the police station, so here he is at home and just waiting. He said he feels like a caged animal and wants to get going. But also there, I told the mayor I think I did recruit one to apply that had just graduated. So I was going around trying to poach as many as I could. So if we get one out of that, that's gonna be great too.
Thank you.
Chief Snyder.
Just coming up, our mechanics will be doing their annual pump testing on all the apparatus the week after Thanksgiving. Required to do that by NFPA. And also, you might have noticed some construction going on at Station 1. We had some leakage in the basement of Station 1. Our guys realized that it was a driveway or a patio pad that was tilted back. It sunk over the years. Through our personnel, they went ahead and were able to break that out using some of their personal equipment and have re-poured that, and we'll get that all leveled off and back in operational order and no water in the basement. So, yeah, they were able to do that for about $2,500 with resources of their own. So it was nice, kind of like what Tim's talking about with the water department.
Yeah, much appreciated to all those up.
You
pitched
tell
in.
them every day.
I have some projects for him.
Bert Cook, LEAP.
Just a very short update this morning, Mayor. Wanted to let the Board of Public Works and the public know we have officially moved our office to 605 Michigan Avenue. We're just completing the move kind of as we speak, but if anyone needs to contact us or to stop by, we're now at 605 Michigan.
Are you gonna have a ribbon cutting?
We are. We've got some work on the first floor of the building that still needs to occur, so we're probably about a month or so out still, but once all the work is complete, we'll be excited to be able to share in some form or fashion.
Great.
And Bert whispered to me before the meeting, he wanted me to announce that he was the small business advocate of the year in Northwest Indiana. So congratulations.
I know Nick Otis is gonna get a good laugh out of that because the mayor seems to want to always reference my height in that whole thing. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Still taking you at noon hoops,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Knoll, Human Resources.
Good morning. We're just finishing up open enrollment for health insurance, vision, and dental this Friday. And then also, we had really good participation in our employee health screenings a couple weeks ago. Employees just have to finish up their follow-up by December 30th in order to qualify for the $5 to $10 premium discount incentive offered through that. So, thank you.
Mark Schreiber, Park Department.
Morning. Just want to quickly highlight two really exciting activities we have coming up this winter. Hopefully everybody by now has heard about the Nibc Laporte Invitational, which will be taking place January 6th through 8th at the Civic Auditorium. Had a very exciting kickoff to that a couple weeks ago. 8 teams that are nationally recognized in high school basketball. 5 of those 8 teams are preseason ranked, and 22 out of the top 100 players, as ranked by ESPN, will be playing in this invitational. So it's going to be great caliber basketball. We're very excited. On top of that, ESPN will be broadcasting all of the games on their platforms. The first 3 games on Thursday, January 6th, will be on ESPNU, which is exciting because that's on most basic cable and basic streaming options. So It's tremendous exposure for our community, tremendous exposure for the Civic Auditorium, and now we just want to get the community in there, get everybody excited about this. Session tickets are on sale for $20 per session. That's an all-day session. We also have a number of sponsorship and VIP packages available, and I think the VIP packages are going to be very attractive to anybody that really would like to get and sponsor this as a great community event, but it's just going to be great entertainment. So we look forward to that. And as well, pretty much right after Lake Fest finished up, the mayor asked me or requested that I look into an ice rink for downtown Laporte, a temporary rink for this winter. And I went about that, and we went through a few different vendors and looked at it, and we found somebody here within the state of Indiana that actually does rinks. So we will be having a refrigerated ice rink January 21st through February 21st at the corner of State and Monroe. It's going to be really exciting. I think families are going to love this. I think it's going to give people an activity during the time of year where there's not much going on. A lot of people go into hibernation, but hopefully this will bring them out and bring them into our downtown. So we'll be releasing all the details on that very soon, but we're excited to be able to offer this, and we are, again, looking for sponsorships to help offset the cost of bringing in the rink, the refrigeration, and everything that goes to that. So looking forward to an exciting winter, and everybody get their ice skates sharpened. Although we will have rentals. They're bringing in 300 rental skates, so we won't have any shortage of sizes and opportunities for people to get out there.
I just want to remind everybody, the basketball tournament, I had to ask again, it is only $20 a day. So it's
only $20 a day for
$5
for
a
balcony general admission, but we want to pack the place, and we're excited for that. Ticket sales have been pretty brisk so far, but there are other opportunities to get down into that VIP lounge, which I think a lot of people are going to really want to view the game from down there with food and beverage provided and courtside seats. So these are top caliber high school players. I mean, this is not a run-of-the-mill tournament. This is the big time. All these players are heading somewhere, and we know 22 out of those players are ranked amongst the top 100 in the nation. So get your tickets soon, I would say.
It's 4 games a day, right?
4 games a day, right? Yeah. So they start at noon on Thursday, but then they start at 2 on Friday and Saturday.
David Heinold, Planning.
David Heinold, City Planner. So just a couple updates. Historic Preservation Commission meeting tonight. As you know from the last meeting, Board of Works signed the grant agreement for the coloring book project, which we're actively discussing that right now, and as well they're discussing event planning for doing some outreach for their recently adopted design guidelines for the 33 designated sites in Laporte. So enough on that. There will be more. Just working with the Business Improvement District on identifying repairs and improvements to downtown light poles and pavers and making the transition period seamless. Then Redevelopment Commission meets next Tuesday. I got to work on getting that stuff out. So we are working on actively getting 150 Pine Lake Avenue, Don George, Jay Schaffner Company will be doing that, and so we'll be working with them on getting that building demolished.
I just want to say in historic preservation, what's happened in the last 6 months is making great strides, real momentum versus what's happened for years before. So I think there's some real positive momentum of education and promotion. So thank you. We got a good team developing there.
Thank you.
Jess Bruder, Communications. Unless Mr. Lamberis would like to come up and speak.
Good morning. Not a whole lot to report today. I have a couple of contracts coming up in a little bit, so we'll discuss those then. I also just want to note that we have several holiday events coming up at the Civic and elsewhere throughout the city, so if you want more information on that, I encourage residents to go to liveinthelakeLife.org. That's it.
Beth West, Transport.
Good morning. Just real quick, the bus that was down with the transmission issue is back up and running. Our numbers are continuing to increase. We had our second highest day yesterday since COVID. We had 165 riders yesterday, so we were very excited considering I'm down 2 drivers. So we have hired one driver, still looking for drivers, also people to help out with dispatching. We did pass our ADA review for the year. Very excited with that. They were very impressed that I was able to do training and maintain everything due to COVID. A lot of the agencies aren't able to do training because of COVID restrictions. So we're very excited that we were able to pass that also.
Good work.
Hey, Beth, do we see ridership increase when the weather's nasty? Like
When
now
it gets
that it's getting
colder.
colder and
Yeah,
wet?
we're seeing, and we are actually, we have a lot of regular riders, but we are starting to see a lot of new riders too, and we're very excited about that. They're seeing our buses around town, so they're calling to find out what we're about. We've had some new residents over at the Rumley, so they've been calling us to get rides. Some of the businesses are increasing their passes that they're purchasing from us, like the hospital, some of the nursing home facilities. So things are looking up. We're very excited.
Great, good job.
And Lisa Pierzakowski from Center Township has been buying some passes too.
Yeah,
Oh,
she bought a bunch.
That's smart,
actually,
yeah.
last week.
That's great.
Jeff Batchelor, Code Enforcement.
Good morning. Just doing the same thing, going out every day. We're about 4,300 violations for the year, so that's all I really have to report.
There seems to be an uptick or a cleaning of along the railroad by Norfolk. It seems that someone has sprayed or
Yeah,
cleaned
they
up
actually-
weeds.
They actually cleaned that up area, and it looks like they put down a bunch of rocks in that area and cleaned up that whole area, and there's also movement over on the part with abandoned cars and the junk vehicles. Over half of them are already gone.
That, which is how many?
25?
That's great, good job.
Thanks.
And do they leave the city? Do those cars leave the city, or are they going somewhere, do you know?
I don't know where they're going.
Outside the county, yeah, we'll head there, thank you. All right, anybody that does not have business before the board, have a great day. And we will move to request for city property use. The one and only Santa Parade is back. Not a reverse Santa Parade, which is good to hear, just a Santa Parade. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. It looks like it begins, just FYI, at 11 a.m. Downtown Lincoln Way. So everybody, you don't want to miss it. And I think it gets close to Plaza 618. Is that correct? I think.
Moving east to Jackson Street.
Okay.
North on
Jackson.
Jackson.
And then kind of around the block and back to 618, and that's where it is.
Great. So I do have a motion
I think I seconded it.
Yes.
but
and a
if not,
second
yeah.
it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0. Conflict of interest disclosure form via the state for Councilman Tim Frankie. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I wondered in number 6 if the contract's for 21 or 22.
Which one is that?
Live
For the
live
live
streaming
streaming.
contract.
Oh.
Because it says
For 21.
it was for 21. Okay.
Yep. The addition here was, I think when the Civic reported that they'd been working with Dual Media, I just advised Tim to update the conflict of interest disclosure.
Okay.
I believe they got a new website, is that correct, Mr. Schreiber? Correct. Yep, yep.
Oh, yeah, that was on there. So this is just.
This is
an update for
updated,
this year,
correct.
not anything for next year yet.
With an addendum, in other
Correct.
words.
Because that'll
Right.
be open for
Okay.
bid again, I think, for 2022,
Right.
so.
Okay.
I just out of an abundance of caution, always encourage any one of you, if you have some relationship with the city where you're getting paid beyond your appointment, to just disclose that.
At one point, my son was working for a firm that potentially could have done work here, and so I had a or I filled out a form, which he no longer is with the firm, so I just think it's important to go above and beyond to make sure the public's aware and they're not seeing any conflicts. So I do have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Sewer discount I think he means sewer increase request, but he said discount request. Jerry Jackson.
Tom Adams at 210 Mustang requested a discount on his bill. He started a new lawn and he watered past the end of the summer averaging period. And we allow for this sort of discount one time per year. He's been a good customer, hasn't had any issues. It's $42.74, so we're not talking a whole lot of money. And I'm not sure, just the summer averaging, during the summertime, sewer bills are the average of your usage during the winter. So that way, if you water your lawn, you're not paying for that extra water that went on the lawn, didn't go to the sewer. And he just, because the new lawn went past that period, is what it amounts to. So I'd recommend approval of the discount for 210 Adam, or 210, which, is it Mustang or is it?
2010 Mustang Drive.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
No, I mean, so this is basically, it's not a discount off of normal rates. I mean, it's a discount because of how the averages are done. So it's truly what we're doing by approving this would be to properly charge for.
It is. The water didn't go to the sewer, so it's not fair really to charge him for that.
Okay.
And it's only $42.
Yes.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Attorney Otis and Gravity Diagnostics, if we can just put that on hold, we're probably gonna have to update that agreement that Mr. Otis feverishly worked on over the weekend, and I appreciate that. But Gravity is the state's contractor for COVID and vaccination testing, and so we want to make sure we keep them or have them in the city of Laporte. So we just may have some updates or changes that we're going to need to get to you before we approve it.
So they would be providing additional COVID testing beyond what we already have available in the city. And I'll comment at 11 o'clock today, I'm presenting to the local Society Human Resource Management Board, their November meeting on this topic of the OSHA mandate, and that's kind of up in the air legally, but if that mandate passes, employers are gonna need a place for their employees to get tested. So this is a really important thing for the community. So we'll find a home for them. It's just a matter of where and when.
Is that the issue that you're trying to address in this, is you're not certain on the space, the location?
Correct. We may have a couple of options that have popped up, including the Swanson Center building, the fire station for short term. There's obviously seniors are moving to different location. There's some serious upgrades that need to be happening, and seniors deserve a better place to have their card games and somewhat of exercise than at the Swanson Center or at the old fire station. But that could become an option for some very short-term testing for vaccination and COVID. We're seeing numbers going up, and we want to make sure we have a space. But they're not out till the end of the year, so we may find an alternative location for 45 days to allow them their transition time of leaving the Swanson Center. So that's why we may have to update the contract.
Okay.
So if we'll put that on hold, we'll move to the parking lot lease.
Thank you, Mayor. This is right here adjacent to City Hall, and I can have Bert Cook come up too, if you don't mind, Bert. This is part of the bigger project with 701 Maple. So Bert, if you want to kind of touch on this.
Yeah, so appreciate the opportunity to share. We're obviously very excited about what's going on next door at 701 Maple, 701, 709, and 807 Michigan. And obviously the board has seen tremendous growth over there. Part of the agreement that we have in place is for the developer they're putting in significant parking that will address the parking issues at 701 Maple, but as a part of that, they're also going to alleviate some pressure for City Hall with 6 parking spaces that will be dedicated to this building, which I know we can use here. And so the agreement outlines that particular lease that would provide for those parking spaces as a component of the larger development agreement that we have with Maple City Commons, who's developing the parcel. So happy to answer any questions, but we appreciate the developer's support in creating this space for the city.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
It's for 25 years for a one-time payment of 10,000, correct?
Correct.
Correct, and the payment is really kind of in kind because we're acknowledging the payment from 709 Maple.
Maple, correct. Yep. So they work hand in hand.
This will get recorded, because it's longer than 3 years, it gets recorded with the county.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0. Easement agreement.
This is actually two things. It references the easement agreement, but it's also the purchase agreement that was approved by the city council last night. I would ask just for a motion to approve the purchase agreement as well, but I'll let Bert kind of explain this entire project because it's a pretty exciting one that's been acknowledged at public meetings already.
Yeah, and I'll be brief because I know the meeting's running long, but if you have other questions that I'm not covering, please ask. So we're talking about the Patel development across from Culver's on Pine Lake Avenue. They are building a 12-unit strip center. That has been talked about before. In fact, it was announced about a year ago that Doc's Smokehouse, which is a national restaurant, they have locations in Milwaukee, Makina, Illinois, and I think Cherville at this point, that this would be their next location here in Laporte. So they'll serve as an end cap on that building. The developer was also able to secure a second fast casual restaurant that I can't.
National fast casual.
Sorry, excuse
Please.
me, correct. The mayor's gonna get it out of me. He's gonna make me slip at some point. I can't use the name at this point because that's not announced, but it is, I would say it is probably the recommendation we get most often from the public as to who we should try and attract in terms of restaurants and specifically fast casual restaurants. So the need for these two end cap restaurants are significant volume or traffic drivers. So there was a need for an additional space. There's a 1/10 of an acre lot that the city owns directly next door. We're able to work through our park board, through our city council, and now the Board of Public Works to negotiate a fair purchase of that property. So they'll be paying to 10,000, Nick, it's 500, 10,500 or
Correct.
900. I get some of the numbers a little bit confused, but 10,500. It's a non-buildable lot. It will help to alleviate some of their traffic issues. And as part of that, our park department had been operating at the rear of their building, had been operating on property that is owned by the Patel Group. And so we've negotiated an easement arrangement that allows them to use a 15-foot by 125-foot section of property that will allow them to continue to use their parking lot and dumpster at the rear of the building. So connecting all of that together, solving an issue, a significant issue that we have, as well as helping the developer on a project that I think we're all very excited about. We're looking forward to seeing them start construction. I know they have filed their applications downstate for their design release, so this is kind of the last step in the process, and I would expect them to start construction as early as they can in the spring. Happy to answer any other questions, if there's anything that you were wondering about or that I missed.
And I want to thank Mark Schreiber for his work with the park board of supporting this project to make it also happen. We wanted to make sure the park board was included in this process, and thanks to him for his leadership to make this happen.
Yeah, we had unanimous support from the park board, unanimous support from the city council last night, so appreciate the park board and the city council as well.
And we have numerous calls. I received numerous calls, and I think you do as well, Mr. Cook. Why don't we bring this fast casual restaurant to Laporte ever? And so I think people will be excited.
I'm already getting nervous that we may need a delay on the videos if the mayor happens to slip. No, I do, that is correct, and I didn't say it last night, but I should have. This project has been a bit of a difficult one to get over the finish line from the start, and the mayor early in his administration stepped in and met with the developer and took some time to kind of help them through some of the issues that existed and get them comfortable with investing a significant amount of money in Laporte. So appreciate that work. It was definitely above and beyond the call, but it helped get this project or make this project a reality.
What's the timeline for that?
For start of construction, so I know they're eager to start as soon as possible. Just looking at the weather, I think it'd be very unlikely they're gonna get much site work done this, fall, even though fall's basically over now, winter. So I would expect as soon as the weather allows in the spring for them to start construction. And it's not a real complicated build, so, that we should see, I think, them open by the end of next year, be open and operational by the end of next year. I think that'd be about right, if you might agree.
So about a year from now?
Yep.
Great.
So if you don't mind waiting at the mic for one moment. So I have a motion and a second, further discussion.
Oh, just that, these, is it, I'm just can't picture the strip. Does it touch Pine Lake Avenue, or is it in the back of the property?
No, it's along Pine Lake Ave. Most people are familiar with the houses came down about 8 months ago or so. You saw those houses that were knocked down right across the street from Culver's just before you get to the park department. There's 4 parcels, maybe 5 parcels
Oh, so it's the
total.
whole, okay, got it, all
Right,
right.
all along Pine
The
Lake
easement itself that the park department's getting is not actually on Pine Lake Ave, though. I don't think it gets to Pine
Oh,
Lake
that's what I was
Ave.
trying to
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
out,
yeah.
like the easement piece is, it's in the back where it kind of touches the park department.
Correct.
property.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep. If I could make a request to amend the motion for 2 things. One, to make a motion to approve the purchase agreement to Dahani Realty, and then the easement agreement, and then also allowing the mayor to execute all documents necessary for the closing. We ran into this issue, the big project the city's working on with the school corporation, the title company needed that explicitly stated, and we didn't have that, so if we could have that added as well.
All is one motion?
Yep.
The purchase agreement, the easement, and the closing, that the mayor has authority for the closing?
Yep.
Do I have a motion to amend?
I think I made that motion,
So,
didn't
yeah.
I? Yeah, I'll make a motion to amend.
Second.
So I have an amended motion and amended second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Courtney, you'll have all that in the minutes?
Got it.
So one thing, while Mr. Cook, we're off topic here, but one thing that was mentioned, there is high pressure and focus for a West Side grocer. And one of the things that when Jessica brought up about the construction, how much in roads, what we're seeing is one of the problems with all the focus and interest on a West Side grocer is the cost. If you would just touch on that, the cost has almost doubled for any grocer that's looking to move to the west side, and the cost that is required.
Yeah, so I think you've got an interesting, I won't pretend to be an expert on the grocery industry, but I think you've got interesting changes that are going on in that particular industry, which are, you have to sort through and you got to figure that out. Additionally, Rural King purchased the Maple Lane Mall, have made significant improvements there. But when you get to the interior of the building, it's very difficult to make those improvements, prior to knowing who the tenant is going to be. Obviously, where you want certain things and how the interior of the space comes together becomes very important. So, just like everything else, cost of materials is, skyrocketed, is through the roof. So we have made that a priority, and we've spent, both the mayor and I have spent a great deal of time, working to find a grocer for that space. I think we're very close, but there's a lot that goes into that decision-making, and so we have to allow that to kind of play out and work through those costs to get to a place where they're comfortable making the decision. I know Rural King would love to have that tenant as well. And we've seen progress there. I mean, Dunham's has re-upped their lease. I think Rural King has been very successful so far. So we're confident we'll be able to make progress, but it is something that we're actively working on.
I just want to be able at some point to knock on Mrs. Werner's door and Mr. and Mrs. Jackson's door again. And I can't do that until we have a West Side grocer coming, so I want everybody to know that is a priority.
I think everyone that I deal with or that work with me, their families that live on that side of the city are very adamant that we need to make that happen. So I hear that all the time, and we acknowledge that that's a high priority for us.
Thank you, sir. Mark Schreiber and team, Park and Civic Fleet quotes.
And I'd like to tell you I'll be brief, but I'm not, so. And I believe you said Doc Smokehouse has the largest bourbon selection, so we're gonna have to really watch our park staff's lunch hours once that's completed, with them being our new neighbors there, but.
You could walk home, right, from
Right. We gotta watch those lunch hours, though. But I do want to acknowledge our maintenance foreman, Mike Lambaris, is with us, as well as our mechanic, Chris Miller. They, along with our assistant foreman, Mark Lockhart, were very integral throughout this whole process. So, back in the spring, early summer, the mayor and clerk treasurer asked me to come up with a fleet replacement needs list. Obviously, we have a fleet inventory that we continually work off of, but when we went back and looked at what our needs were between aging fleet and fleet that had not been replaced over the years due to lack of capital budget, we wound up with 26 different pieces that we noticed between the Park, Beechwood, and Civic. As you know, I don't know if it was our previous meeting, but maybe the meeting before that, we went through and we did the Beechwood fleet at 5 pieces at a total of $177,060. So we were able to get those. So now today, we'd like to come back before you and move forward on our Park and Civic fleet needs, which are kind of rolled into one here. The difficulty we had was we put out requests for a solicitation for quotes to a number of places, starting out with our trucks. Unfortunately, when we put them out to local vendors, 3 of them came back and said they couldn't get pricing, much less assure delivery because of shortages that the auto industry is going through, and I think a lot of people are already familiar with that, and we had a 4th that did not respond. Fortunately, the city has a contract with Sourcewell, which is a QPA. They go out and they pre-bid trucks and other types of vehicles and other type of merchandise. I know other departments have used this in the past. So by using Sourcewell, we were able to come up with some quotes for Ford trucks, and I'll let you know what those are right now. For a 2500 truck, 4x4 standard bed, they came in with a Ford at $32,101.20. For a 1500 truck with extended bed long cab, National Auto Fleet was able to bid that or quote that at $29,740.92. And a 1500 truck truck with standard bed, National Auto Fleet again, $26,734.98. With that, I would like to make the recommendation that you allow us to purchase 4 Ford 250 trucks, 1 Ford 150 truck with the extended bed and long cab, and 3 Ford 150 trucks with a standard bed from National Auto Fleet for the total cost of $238,350.66.
Sorry, just to confirm, because this says 2,500, and you said 250, same thing, I mean.
250 is just the Ford model of a 2500.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Are we approving these one by one? Because I see you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think the recommendation was that we would just go through each item and.
And do one motion altogether?
That would
The
be
whole
up,
thing?
that would be up to City Attorney Otis.
Yeah.
You can do it all together.
Okay, these are ARP funds, so I just want to be as,
So would you prefer us to do?
whatever the attorney
Well,
says, I'm fine with.
I mean, we can
I'd
do it either
rather
way.
do it detailed because,
This is the American Relief you're referring to when you say ARP?
Yep.
So how
I
do you
mean,
want
you
us
could take it, each one is under the threshold of, like, we did the appropriate way of getting quotes, correct?
Correct. We
Yeah.
quoted each individual item. We didn't quote these as packages.
Right. So I think you can do it all in one motion if you identify each one individually. Does that make sense?
Which is what we did for
Yes.
Beechwood.
Right.
Similar
Do
to how
it.
it's laid out.
So if we
in
do
its
each-
proposal.
Do the trucks at once, do the each, not each, because there, you'd be going through.
I would just say I make a motion to purchase, identify each piece of equipment and the amount.
Okay, so
And-
we should do trucks, then
Sure. Yep.
SUVs, then dump truck.
Truck and then-
Okay, so we'll do it that way. Okay, then I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 8 trucks.
And could you label those per,
You want me to say it out loud?
It's 4 Ford 250 trucks, 1 Ford 150 truck, extended bed long cab, and 3 Ford 150 truck standard bed from National Auto Fleet for $238,350.66.
Correct. That was the recommendation.
That's what I'm making a motion for.
do I have a second? Discussion, and I
Thank you,
just want,
Courtney.
I want to make sure we clarify and make sure we reiterate that we did try to go local.
Correct,
So-
yeah, and we had direct conversations with 3 out of those 4. We did receive response back from 3 out of the 4. And again, you know, it was just a simple shortage where they could not, first of all, get us pricing, much less make any guarantee on delivery.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Okay, we'll move on to a compact SUV. This would be replacing the superintendent vehicle and the recreation director vehicle. Laporte Chrysler entered a bid of $25,811 for a 2001 Jeep Cherokee Latitude. And then on National Auto Fleet, we were able to get quotes for a 2022 Ford Bronco Sport for $27,766.12, a 2022 Chevrolet Blazer for $30,329.87, and then also for a 2002 Chevy Bolt EUV for $33,431. We recommend taking the low quote, which was from Laporte Chrysler for the 2001 Jeep Cherokee Latitude, and we would recommend purchasing 2 of those at the total cost of $51,622.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move we approve purchasing the 2 Jeep Cherokee Latitudes from Laporte Chrysler Plymouth. And gosh, what was that amount? I don't have the amount in front of me. sorry.
$51,622.
$51,622.
Second, sorry.
I have a motion and a second discussion. What happens to the current vehicles in place?
One of the vehicles, the one that the recreation driver or director currently drives, is a hand-me-down that's come through 2 other departments. It's a very small, smart car, electric. We could certainly make that the mayor's vehicle, the little red.
Car that I can fit in, yes.
And then the 2010 Dodge Avenger that I've been driving as the superintendent, that is actually part of our next segment, as we will be doing that as a trade-in in order to lower the costs of our next 2 items.
So I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
All right, our next item are dump trucks. We received 2 quotes on this for 2 dumps. One, they're both from Laporte Chrysler. One is for a 2019 Ram 3500 dump at the cost of $55,374. The other would be for a 2020 Ram 4500. That would be at the cost of $69,245. These are both new vehicles. They have not been previously owned. I would like to make that recommendation that with a trade-in on our Dodge 2010 Dodge Avenger for $5,224, that we were to purchase the one Ram 3500 dump truck and the one Ram 4500 dump truck for a total cost of $119,395.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? And the dump truck, again, people are saying, why does the park department need a dump truck? Where is that use
We do a lot of trees go down. We chip those trees up. Well, we will be chipping those trees up once we get a chipper through this process. We do a lot of moving of sand, a lot of moving of dirt. And the real need for the 4,500 is it's towing capacity. We have a Bobcat in our fleet now that needs to be towed from site to site. And right now, we're really pushing our towing capacity on our trucks to be able to move that thing around. So a 4,500 became necessary to be able to do that tow. Am I correct on that, Chris? Thank you.
Further discussion?
Well, it's great to be able to have some local, business go to local establishments, and in particular, to be able to use this ARP money for all of these improvements.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
All right. We'll move into the 72-inch cut mowers. These would be purchased for the park department. We had 4 quotes returned. K-Tool and Fire, which would be providing us with a Skag mower. The quote per mower was $18,107.20. Heinold and Feller, which deals in Toro, was $19,200. Greenmark, which deals in John Deere, was $20,250. And Heinold and Feller gave us also a quote on a Ferris, which is $31,000. My recommendation would be to purchase 3 Skag mowers from K-Tool and Fire, which is local, for a total of $54,321.60.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
And Mr. Otis, we're okay just doing, so moved, right, with these, and we don't have to go through each detail on the items in the motion specifically? Like
we
us
have
to
been-
mention it? Oops.
Mark is saying.
With
Oh,
me,
yeah,
with me
then-
reading
then
it.
that's
Remember
fine.
saying,
Yeah.
Fine,
yeah,
okay, just making sure, all right.
As long as it's in the
I
minutes.
noticed like Riggs wasn't on here. Do they not bid this type of?
Basically, it depends on the type of mower in which we want to get. So you have to kind of, again, that's why I worked with my team of exactly what, there's how many mowers on the market. So you basically had to look at what was their preferred type of mower, and then go to the vendors that solicit that. We have bought from Riggs. We bought 2 Hustlers from Riggs 4 or 5 years ago. So we do have some that we have worked with Riggs on. So we do work with local.
Mr. Schreiber, these are new as well, like.
Correct. These are all new.
Okay.
Yes, these are not pre-owned.
And these were in a part of the open bid. Just reminding the public, these were open bid.
Correct. These were solicited through quotes.
Courtney, do they have to be brand new to use the American
I think
funds?
in the spirit of American Rescue Plan dollars, we were hoping that most equipment we were hoping to replace.
But that's not a restriction they place
not,
on.
no.
Okay, I was just curious.
just wasn't
No,
spelled out.
everything on this list none of this is pre-owned. All of this is new.
Okay.
That was kind of our personal local
Desire.
requirement, yes. So with that, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
All right, we'll move on to a 61-inch cut mower with bagger. This would be for the Civic Auditorium. We did receive 3 quotes, one from K-Tool and Fire for a Skag for $19,548, one from Heinold and Feller for Toro, $22,300, and one from Greenmark, which is John Deere, for $24,685.
Do I have a motion to approve?
He
So-
didn't make his recommendation yet, did
Yeah,
you?
my recommendation would be to purchase 1 Skag mower from K-Tool and Fire for $19,548, which was the low bid.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I just have one question, because we're choosing the lowest cost out of each group, which I love it as a CPA, but is there a big difference in the value? Like what we're getting for less, you know what I mean?
No, any of these we're very familiar with. We did have our crew go out and test out the Skags, and it was the recommendation of our mechanic and our foreman that was more than acceptable to go with. So
Okay.
actually had a little preference for it in some regards. So no, we're getting what we want.
Good quality.
We're getting
for the
good
dollars.
quality and fortunately for the best price.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Further discussion? All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
All right, we'll move on to a ball diamond tractor. We received 3 quotes, one from Revels Turf and Tractor for John Deere for a cost of $16,188, one from Burris Equipment, which is Smithco, for $20,535, and one from Kenny Machinery, which is Toro, for $23,725.20. Our recommendation would be to purchase 2 John Deere tractors from Revel Turf and Tractor for a total cost of $32,376.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. I just would like to say that's great stuff, because that Ball Diamond crew works 24/7. They're always working, so they need equipment that can keep up with them.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we have a large inventory of ball diamonds in our community spread across town, so there really is the reason why we need to have 2 of those. And I believe one of them that we're still driving is from the 90s, so we're using a couch cushion for the seats, so.
And natural air conditioning, because there's no floorboard, so it just.
We have that, we do have that in some of our trucks, yes, Mayor.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
All right, the next item would be a backhoe with front bucket. We put out a quote to 3 different organizations. One got back to us, Rudd Equipment was unable to provide a quote, and we did not get a response from Westside Tractor. The one quote we did get was from McAllister Machinery, which provides a cat, and that was for $119,500. We did find that was within our budget and is a reasonable cost. So we would like to recommend that we purchase 1 backhoe from McAllister Machinery at the cost of $119,500.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Next item is for a chipper, which we have been going without for a number of years, which, as you can imagine, with the number of trees that come down in the parks, it creates quite a bit of extra work for us. But we did receive 2 bids here. We did not receive a response from Vermeer Midwest, but we did get a quote from RPM Machinery, which is a Mobark, at the cost of $28,475, as well as from Atlas Bobcat for a Bandit at the cost of $34,442.75. I would recommend the purchase of 1 chipper from RPM Machinery at the cost of $28,475.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
And you said, Mr. Schreiber, we have not had a.
We haven't had a chipper for
So-
a number of years. There was a chipper purchased, I would guess maybe 15 to 20 years ago, that was undersized for our needs, and it just kept breaking down, and eventually we couldn't get it fixed. So I think we've gone 5-6 years now without a chipper.
And what have we been using then? What?
Basically, then we just have to gather up all the limbs and haul them out to waste site, rather than going through and chipping them and getting, I mean, it just creates a lot more labor on our end, a lot more.
Yeah, this will
driving
save a
of the
lot
truck.
of time and
This is gonna
money
save a
then.
lot of time and effort, and, you know, I would refer back to the ice storm incident of early this year, of New Year's Day, and the amount of time, extra time that it took us to get the parks cleaned up after that. A quality chipper is gonna save us a lot of time and effort.
Do you ever just burn things on site?
Beechwood does a controlled burn from time to time, but Chief Snyder probably
I
doesn't.
wouldn't let him.
He usually doesn't let us just go ahead and burn, things, but
Seems
but
like
we
it
have
might be
done
fun
some
for you
controlled
guys.
burns at Beechwood before.
You just want to make
They had a
sure
really
Chief
big
Snyder
pile
was
this
paying
year.
attention, didn't he? All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
All right, our final item, I thought there'd be a mild applause after that, is for a blower. This is a riding blower, definitely a need this time of year to help us with leaves, but it's also going to be a great usage for us with trail cleanup and things of that nature. We had 3 quotes, one from K2 and Fire for a Skag for $9,351, Heinold and Feller with a Ferris for $10,999, and Frontier Lawn with a Billy Goat blower for $13,200. The recommendation be to purchase 1 blower from K2 and Fire for $9,351.
Make a motion to approve the purchase.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Just so I'm clear, a blower not related to snow strictly.
No, this is
Like a
a
leaf.
big, heavy industrial leaf blower. something that we can use to clean the trails, something we can use to blow leaves away. We do a lot of mulching of leaves now. We don't collect up the leaves like they did in years past, but we still have to be able to blow the leaves out and get them away from like the structures and into places where we're able to mulch. So, or in some instances, we do blow them into wooded areas and things like that. So it's a very valuable tool to us.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Shriver.
I'm not sure who is keeping track at home, but as this will come in, we will come in within cents of below $850,000.
You have 74 cents to spend.
Yeah, we have 74 cents, and of course, you know, part of it was working that trade-in into it as well. So we used almost every single cent that was appropriated to us. So, and that's, again, great testimony to the team and their input. We've really been going over these things, and they've been testing out different mowers and everything. So it's been a team effort, but much appreciated, much overdue for our department. Thank you.
And I want to say thanks to Clerk Treasurer Parthun, the City Council, Attorney Otis, and the Board of Works for supporting and recognizing what the current situation is regarding equipment, and make sure, you know, with where we want to go in the future in the city of Laporte, you've got the equipment that will support it.
And the first step is to get the trucks, and the second step is to get the new logo on those trucks.
I like that.
Okay.
Well, you have 74 cents to spend toward that.
We'll see you in 10 to 15 years. It should keep you busy for a while. Beth West, transport holiday hours.
Since the city holidays were approved at the last meeting, I'm asking for holidays to be approved for the 2022 year. Out of the 14, there are a few that businesses and schools do not recognize like the city does, and we still have riders that need to get to and from work, to and from doctor's appointments, to and from schools. These are all manned by our part-timers, including our dispatcher will be part-time employees. We'll run 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. We started doing those hours this year, and it's been working out really well because of our factory workers that we take and our dialysis patients that we also take early in the mornings. So I'm just asking for board approval to the holidays that are listed to go forward next year.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I think this is a great idea to try to continue servicing people even on off days, and you're using all part-time workers. I appreciate that because they wouldn't normally be eligible for the holiday pay,
Right.
correct?
Yep, and we do run we have 3 4-hour shifts, so they have the, it's not,
It's
if
not
it's
the
a
whole
holiday
day.
to them, they're not wasting their whole day working. They actually could come in and work for 4 hours and then go home if they
Right.
so choose, so.
And you feel like this kind of that schedule is kind of enough to meet the needs for the folks who do need to continue to get to work or
Yes.
appointments? And, okay.
Yeah, extending it, and it was actually the idea of our full-time dispatcher because we used to run 8 to 4, and it was the idea of our full-time dispatcher to actually extend it to 6 to 4, and it's been very well received because factory workers are actually able to adjust their, now they don't have to adjust their schedules to get to work. We're actually able to take them along with our dialysis patient. We have 2 gentlemen we take 3 times a day, or 3 times a week, and they were having to cancel their dialysis patient, their appointments, so now we don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, and they can't do that.
No.
So I do have a motion and a second. Beth, how often, or percentage-wise on Election Day, how often are we taking people to the polls? Number, small number?
I would have to look. I know we do take some. And actually, transport is a poll site, so we have people coming and going out of our place even during those hours. Either myself or Frank will make sure that the building's open and closed after they're gone for the evening, so.
I just don't know if and I know the word free and myself usually don't come together very often, but I don't know from an Election Day perspective if we want to do something
To encourage voting?
voting to
Sure.
make sure someone has a free ride to the polls and not nowhere else.
Right.
But
Right,
you know, to the
yeah.
poll and back.
I
know,
can
might be
check,
something to consider.
yeah, I can check 2019, because last year.
COVID.
Yeah, we kind of, I mean, we were open and we were running, and then this year there were no elections, so we didn't do that. But I can check 2019 numbers and see how many actually we took to polling places
And it might encourage more
to get out and vote.
Get out.
Right, yep.
Sure.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jess Bruder.
Okay. The first item I have in front of you is the retail product license agreement with Reprographic Arts. This is just a renewal from last year's contract. The only difference is that the annual fee has been raised from $350 to $500, which Kevin from Reprographic Arts has already agreed to. I would like to give a shout out to Kevin and his team. They've been incredible community partners with us. They've done a lot of last minute requests in a very timely manner, even when I didn't even think it would be possible. I also want to say they did over $17,000 in t-shirt sales and City of Laporte merchandise sales last year. So we'll be doing a few new items to try to keep those numbers high again this year.
Get out and get your Christmas gifts, right?
That's what we're pushing. There will also be limited edition holiday attire that's coming out pretty soon here.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be awesome too.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion, I would agree. I appreciate all Kevin's work and your work. We're ready for some new swag, though, hopefully he'll be coming out with something as well new. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Okay, the next item is an agreement with Travel Indiana, the magazine. This is dropped off at thousands of various locations around the state. I think it's a great opportunity for the city to kind of showcase what we have to offer, our events, our lakes, everything that we've kind of been highlighting with the new branding among other communities in these magazines. So it gets us several advertisements. This package gets us several ads and some editorials throughout their 4 issues during 2022.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Do they have, I didn't see anything here about, unless I missed it, about any online?
They do have online, yes.
Does any of this include any kind of online?
Yes, so the entire edition of each magazine is online.
Okay, all right.
Do they have like a number or a population that they say that they reach quantity-wise?
Yeah, I have that. I can get that
Just out
for
of
you.
curiosity.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
upstairs. I just didn't bring it with me today.
Jess, is this coming out of the communications budget, or it's?
I'm hoping that maybe we can get some dollars thrown my way next year. It is billed quarterly, so I have time to kind of figure that out as I go.
Jess has been a strong proponent of this, Travel Indiana, so we're gonna test the waters and see the interest. We did have a successful staycation event where a radio station in Indianapolis promoted having a vacation within Indiana, and one of the locations was Laporte. And I think they truly enjoyed themselves.
I hope so. We planned a full itinerary for them and had like gift certificates to go golfing, to Garwoods, out to eat at a few different locations around the city. And it was the same weekend as Taco Fest, so hopefully they got to come enjoy that as well.
There were some complaints about the construction of the home, correct? They stayed at. I'm making sure Chief Brent's paying attention. They actually love the home right on the water.
Yeah, it
Couldn't
was-
say enough good things about it.
I didn't know they stayed there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to thank Jamie for Jamie Dunham for donating that to the city. She donated 2 nights. It was a beautiful stay for them, so that was great.
She rocked it.
That's awesome.
All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Andy Snyder, Chief Snyder, request to hold merit commission election.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Fire Merit Commission is made up of 5 members. 2 are appointed by the mayor's office, 1 by the city council, and 2 are elected by the fire department members. 2021, one of those terms will be expiring, so I'm asking for permission to hold the election. The election would be held on December 7th between 9 and 6 p.m., and nominations would be due into the chief's office by November 30th. We post that today. It'll meet the timelines that we've set forward. I have submitted a motion to you in its entirety. I can read that if you want, but that's basically the scope of it, and just need you to authorize. I will inform you that Miles Fettinger is the Merit Commission member who his term is ending at the end of December 31st. He is a Democrat, and the makeup of that has to be one Republican and one Democrat. He has expressed interest in continuing if the membership does so elect him to be.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Nick Minnick, do you want to bring this up now?
I can, or we can hold it too, whatever you want.
If you don't mind,
Yep, that's
unless
fine.
there's a member that would like to talk about the new hours. I just have some questions that I haven't had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Minnick yet.
Well, when is this gonna be put in place? Because if it has to be approved by Board of Works, is this soon, like, before the next 2 weeks?
We'll wait until you're ready, it's fine.
Do
We can
you-
do the next
Could we
meeting.
just agree or vote to give you and Nick permission to work on the hours and determine what's best?
Well, but I think it should come back to this board
Okay.
and make sure we discuss it.
And you're okay waiting 2 weeks?
That'll be fine, yeah.
Staff-wise and everything
Yeah.
else?
We'll make it work, no problem.
Thank you.
I was gonna mention.
I'd also
that's the
like to
first-
talk about the other item.
Yeah, and I was gonna mention, that probably works well under unfinished business, since we never really finished so I can wait till the end.
Well, why don't we, since you're here, I mean, we already passed unfinished, let's talk
I'll
about
still be here
it.
at the end, but.
We're gonna go ahead and.
Plan on dismissing him for yourself?
Yeah,
If you wanna
so,
go ahead.
as we reviewed the quotes for the, lighting on Whispering Boulevard, Mitch Fike has done a great job. He really stepped up and said, this is important to him, and, he's trying to help us make it work a little bit more cost effectively. So, he does have some equipment that can kind of help with placing those lights and kind of using his assistance. At this point, it makes more sense for us to reject those quotes and actually purchase the materials ourselves. And then, with his assistance, and again, we'll have some other small expenses to get these installed. But by doing it this way, we're gonna save hopefully right around $10,000.
So the only motion you need is to reject the quotes.
I would want to reject the quotes and approval to purchase materials.
So do I have Mr. Kosher? I'm gonna ask Member Romine to abstain based on a conflict, so
Yes, please.
So moved.
I will second that. Discussion?
So just to be clear, so we're looking to deny the prior quotes.
Yep.
And then approve the quote for the purchase of the materials.
Yes.
And then is it the case that then Mr. Ficus will be installing a portion of these bases, right?
Yeah, so he has the equipment to drill the bases. There'll be some materials associated with that, but it's gonna be a lot less than having a contractor come in and do it all. So if we get the materials and then provide those, and then he's gonna offer to assist with the rest. So it's gonna reduce the cost and be a little bit more responsible way for us to do this lighting.
So then, will we be paying him for a piece of the install work?
The materials for the install is what he's asked that we cover.
Just cover the materials for
So
the install?
the
and then-
sonotube and the bolt package and that type of thing, so.
Okay, and then the actual lights,
That's what
that go
yep.
up, then we will install those? Or we'll
Us,
have-
him, that's not the difficult part.
Okay, gotcha, all right. And overall, though, with all of it, like, you expect this will be the savings, right?
Yeah.
With all the labor, everything's installed, ready to go, we expect to save about $10,000, and I'm assuming you're happy with, like, his capabilities to install these lights and all that? Okay.
Definitely, yep.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Member Romine will abstain, and motion passes 2-0. Mr. Warner.
Thank you. In front of you, you guys have a couple quotes from Peerless Midwest. They're the company we use for a lot of our well equipment, whether it's cleaning, pulling pumps, crane work, everything like that. So the beginning of the summer, every year we have Peerless Midwest come in and do complete pump down, Pacific capacity, and flow tests on all of our wells. The reason for that is when the well starts to plug and we notice it through flows, it's almost too late to get that back to even 80% of its original pumping capacity. So in the last probably 5-6 years, we've learned when those numbers start to drop off to get on it right away. It's easier to recap that 20% than you lost, or than it is to wait till the well's 50%, then you only get 20% back on that well. So these are two quotes for Kankakee number 3 and East Plant well B for cleaning. The standard cost is $18,700. The plant or the well B is a little higher. Last year we did the same thing with well A out there. These will be the first time since these wells were drilled new in 2010 that we've had to put pumps in them. So we're just expecting, pump failure in this well also. As we've pulled the 3 East Plant wells, we've run into the same thing. So I just had them go ahead and include that for a rebuild, new bearings, pump bowls, stuff like that. For that will go back to their shop. One of the reasons why we use Peerless Midwest is their shop is in Mishawaka, their pump shop. Their turnaround times are very fast for us. The reason why I turn 2 in at the same time, we get a discount on their mobilization fees. So I'd like to do 2 at a time from now on instead of doing 1. We only have to pay that fee one time then, and it saves us about $5,000 every time these wells come in. So,
That's a big savings.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Richards, CDBG change.
The crowd has really thinned, Mayor.
Yes.
We meet in.
We appreciate Mary Ann's patience.
Looks like church.
Oh.
I have a change order for 913 Ridge Street. It's just to replace a bedroom door. The one that is existing is in bad shape, and we're unable to install a lock set on it because of the condition of the door. So the cost is $750, and the money would be paid through the CDBG program, and I do have the funding available.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. So this is based on a house you're already working on?
Yes.
So an additional door. All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Other business. Chief Breton.
You have the letter that I just received moments before coming down here of resignation of a veteran officer, Rondell Clark, going to South Bend Police Department.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. How long has he been with the city of Laporte?
I believe it's 21, 22 years.
We thank him.
Speaking with his sergeant, he had told his sergeant this is purely for retirement. He's going to get in under their pension. He was going to retire last year and stuck it out. This was a complete surprise to me. So I guess I also asked for permission for the Merit Commission to look for a replacement.
So we will amend the motion to the resignation as well as,
Appointment of a new, or a replacement for his position.
Yep.
Sorry, Mark, that
No,
was your motion,
That's right.
wasn't it?
I agree to that amendment.
Second.
We have a amended second, further discussion, but good news, obviously, you don't want to have to send people to the academy all the time, but it sounds like the interest and potential laterals could be out there.
Yes, we went from nothing to, the interest is great out there, and we're hearing words of laterals coming in too, so.
Did you say laterals?
Yes.
That's when they don't have to go to the academy to
Right.
take it. Great.
Well, we wish Mr. Clark safety and health. Thank you for your service. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Any other business come before the board? Anything that we need to talk about? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second? Or do I have a second?
Second.
Oh.
Motion and a second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned.
I think we both.